Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers conspiracy, the knock and talk doctrine, and trespassing, and is brought to us by Angelique Contreras' channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. At approximately 10:30 p.m. on February 12, 2021, Detective Horton of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office knocked on the door of activist and mother Angelique Contreras' South Florida home to question her about an exchange on her Facebook page. Ms. Contreras began filming before she opened the door.
Hi, Angelique.
Yeah.
I'm Detective Horton with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. How are you?
Do you have any identification on you?
What do you want? Badge, gun, handcuffs?
Okay.
Things. So, alright, well, the reason why we're here is bothering you on a Friday night is I guess you and some guy named Anthony were posting on social media that you were going to go trespass on a county commissioner's property, dump garbage on her property.
I didn't say that I would dump garbage on her property.
Well, that was the discussion that you guys were having, right?
The Facebook exchange in question occurred on February 10, 2021, when Ms. Contreras shared a Palm Beach Post article regarding the Palm Beach County Commission's decision to move maskless spectators to another building during commission meetings. In the original post, Ms. Contreras stated, quote, "When is enough enough? PBC tyrants, it's time you are all recalled," presumably referring to the Palm Beach County commissioners responsible for the decision. In response to this post, an individual named Anthony Collins commented, quote, "So when are we going to start showing up at their houses, ruining birthday parties, crashing weddings? We need to make them uncomfortable." Ms. Contreras replied to this comment, writing, quote, "I agree. Call me, because I want to do it Verdenius, but I know what the narrative will be. We all know how the media will spin it to seem as we are a group of WS, likely meaning white supremacists. It appears that Ms. Contreras was discussing taking these actions against County Administrator Verdenia Baker. Mr. Collins responded, quote, "I actually don't care, but that's the kind of person I am. I honestly want to leave hundreds of bags of garbage on her lawn." And Ms. Contreras replied, quote, "Thousands of masks." While the First Amendment protects the right to talk about committing a crime or even suggesting one, if two or more individuals take steps beyond planning a crime, they can be charged with the offense of conspiracy, regardless of whether the crime is ever actually committed or attempted. Section 777.04 of the Florida statute states that, quote, "A person who agrees, conspires, combines, or confederates with another person or persons to commit any offense commits the offense of criminal conspiracy." Even though the Facebook exchange alone would likely be insufficient evidence to secure a conspiracy conviction, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office would be within its authority to conduct an investigation regarding the discussion. In the 2013 case of Florida versus Jardines, the U.S. Supreme Court explained the knock and talk doctrine, stating that, quote, "The knocker on the front door is treated as an invitation or license to attempt an entry," and that, quote, "This implicit license typically permits the visitor to approach the home by the front path, knock promptly, wait briefly to be received, and then, absent invitation to linger longer, leave. A police officer not armed with a warrant may approach a home and knock, precisely because that is no more than any private citizen might do. While a number of courts have found knock and talks between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. to be unreasonable because of the societal expectation that members of the public would not knock on one's front door in the middle of the night, courts have rejected a bright-line rule prohibiting nighttime visits. And in cases such as the 2017 North Carolina Court of Appeals case State versus Hargett, courts have upheld late-night knock and talks when the police were investigating a potential suspect, and there were indications that people were awake and active in the house. Under the knock and talk doctrine, a court would likely find that Detective Horton was constitutionally permitted to knock on Ms. Contreras' door without a warrant at 10:30 p.m.
Okay, that's the discussion you guys were having. So the
no,
reason,
it wasn't.
I mean, I can show you the post.
I plead the fifth.
Okay, that's fine. So, trespassing is a crime. Dumping garbage on people's property is a crime, so don't do it. Okay, but
Is that why you all are here?
Yeah. Today's day and age, man, you're talking about trespassing on,
Didn't talk about trespassing, but okay.
Well, going on somebody's property is trespassing, right?
I didn't say any of those words.
Okay. All right, that's cool. All right, have a good night. Don't trespass. It's a crime.
While Ms. Contreras states that she and Mr. Collins did not talk about trespassing in their Facebook conversation, at least some of the activities they discussed would be considered trespassing under Florida law. Section 810.09 of the Florida statutes defines the crime of trespassing on property other than a structure or conveyance as willfully entering upon or remaining in any property other than a structure or conveyance as to which notice against entering or remaining is given, either by actual communication to the offender or by posting, fencing, or cultivation. An individual can can also commit trespassing by entering the unenclosed curtilage of a dwelling, which the statute defines as, quote, the unenclosed land or grounds and any outbuildings that are directly and intimately adjacent to and connected with the dwelling, and necessary, convenient, and habitually used in connection with that dwelling, with the intent to commit an offense on the property. Whether showing up at houses, ruining birthday parties, and crashing weddings would constitute criminal trespass would depend on the specific facts of the situation. However, leaving hundreds of bags of garbage or thousands of masks on a lawn would be an act of criminal trespass by entering the unenclosed curtilage of a dwelling with the intent to commit an offense. Section 403.413 of the Florida statutes prohibit dumping litter, quote, in any manner or amount in or on any private property, unless prior consent of the owner has been given, and unless the dumping of such litter by such person will not cause a public nuisance or otherwise be in violation of any other state or local law, rule, or regulation. The statute states that the word dump means, quote, to dump, throw, discard, place, deposit, or dispose of. And the word litter means, quote, any garbage, rubbish, trash, refuse, can, bottle, box, container, paper, tobacco product, tire, appliance, or substance in any form resulting from domestic, industrial, commercial, mining, agricultural, or governmental operations. Given the broad range of these definitions, leaving bags of garbage or thousands of masks on an individual's lawn would unquestionably constitute a violation of Florida's littering statute in nearly every conceivable situation. Further, Section 810.12 of the Florida statute states that the unlawful dumping of litter is, quote, prima facie evidence of the intention of such person to commit an act of trespass, which means that the fact that an individual unlawfully dumped litter on a property is legally sufficient to establish that the individual entered the property with the intent to commit an offense. Although Ms. Contreras and Mr. Collins never used the word trespass, they did discuss taking actions that would constitute trespassing in their Facebook conversation.
So all of this for that? This is just fear-mongering, you know that, right?
Fear-mongering of what?
Of a citizen, for nothing. For nothing.
Okay. Sorry you feel that way.
I do. I'm putting my kids to bed, and you're wasting tax dollar money to come out here and...
Tell you not to commit a crime? Yes.
I'm not committing a crime, and
No,
I wasn't...
I'm telling you not to commit a crime.
Right, and I'm not planning on committing a crime.
Then that's even better. Then we're done.
Okay, I appreciate it, officer.
Awesome. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Can I get everybody's badge number?
Sure. 33093.
33093 and your name? Officer, you're on my property, so your name?
Horton, Horton.
Okay, your
Like
name,
Dr.
officer?
Seuss book.
That were hiding in the corner there?
Stockwell, 18352.
Okay, and this woman that was on my property as well? She's not a civilian. She was on my property. I'd like to know her name.
Mine's on 19477.
I'm sorry?
19477.
But what was the civilian's name? She was on my property. I think I have a right to know that. No, she was on, this is my property. I have a right to know who this woman is.
Here's the deal. We've identified all the law enforcement officers on your property.
But I would like to know who the stranger was that was trespassing on my property.
She is not a law enforcement officer.
But she was trespassing on my property.
Although Ms. Contreras demands that the officers provide her with the name of a civilian who she claims was on her property, there is no law that would require the officers to do so. And if the woman was a potential victim or the legal representative of a potential victim, it could be considered a violation of Florida law for the officers to provide her information to Ms. Contreras. Article 1, Section 16 of the Florida Constitution, which defines a victim as, quote, a person who suffers direct or threatened physical, psychological, or financial harm as a result of the commission or attempted commission of a crime or delinquent act, or against whom the crime or delinquent act is committed, states that, beginning at the time of their victimization, victims and their legal representatives are entitled to, quote, the right to prevent the disclosure of information or records that could be used to locate or harass the victim or the victim's family, or which could disclose confidential or privileged information of the victim. Because this portion of the Florida Constitution, also known as Marsy's Law, was only added in 2018, there is very little case law interpreting the parameters of the rights it offers. However, it is certainly conceivable that a court would find that a Palm Beach County commissioner who felt threatened by the Facebook exchange, or the legal representative of one, was entitled to this protection. Ms. Contreras also claims that the woman was trespassing on her property, and although the video is too dark to see where the woman was standing, it is highly unlikely that the woman could have been trespassing wherever she was standing. As we discussed earlier, Section 810.09 of the Florida statute states that an individual can trespass by entering property when notice against entering is either communicated to the offender personally or by posting, fencing, trespassing or the cultivation of crops, or by entering the unclosed curtilage of a dwelling with the intent to commit an offense. Here, there is no evidence that the woman would be on notice not to enter the property, as there do not appear to be any signs, fences, or cultivation, and there is nothing to suggest that the woman had entered or remained on Ms. Contreras' property with the intent to commit a crime.
We've identified all the law enforcement officers.
Is that right? She was trespassing on my property. She didn't have
she was right here on the sidewalk. That's not trespassing.
Sir, she was not standing on the sidewalk. She was actually right there, and I have video evidence of it.
Ma'am, we're not going to debate curtilage. Listen.
Does the woman work for the county?
You pled the fifth?
Does the woman work for the county?
Are you changing your mind?
Does the woman work for the county? I think I have a right to ask questions when you're at my house.
Okay.
She was on my property.
She was on public property.
No, she was on my property. I have video of it, officer.
Ma'am, we're not going to argue. We've identified all the law enforcement
officers. Who was the woman that was on my property?
Have a good night,
not on the sidewalk?
Have a good night, ma'am.
How do you get to ask questions of me, but I don't get to ask questions of you?
No, you pled the fifth, remember?
Officer, you're playing a game?
I'm not playing a game.
You are playing a game. You are playing a game. I asked you who this woman was that was on my property.
She's a civilian. And I've answered that question.
But she was trespassing, so I'd like to file trespass on this woman. She's not allowed on my property ever again.
Okay.
The day after the encounter, Ms. Contreras posted her video on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, writing on Facebook, quote, "Last night, PBSO trespassed on my property to intimidate me and brought an unnamed civilian to my house." In the following days, the video was picked up by several news sources, and Ms. Contreras was interviewed about her experiences multiple times. She also posted a video requesting assistance in her attempts to discover who was watching her Facebook page, who requested that the police visit her home, and the name of the civilian who was with the officers. Ms. Contreras informed me that she had submitted a public records request for all of the information and materials surrounding this interaction, including the body camera footage, 911 call, and many other items. But her request was only partially fulfilled before being closed by the Public Records Department. Ms. Contreras claims that the department left out the CAD reports from the officers who visited her house when fulfilling her records request. The phrase CAD stands for Computer Aided Dispatch, which displays all of the information transmitted to an officer from the dispatcher. And access to this record would likely show whether there was a legitimate complaint made through the proper channels, if such a record exists. Another element of Ms. Contreras' request that was not provided was information surrounding police contact with Palm Beach County Commissioner Melissa McKinley's 19-year-old daughter, Annika, who had tweeted similar and arguably more serious sentiments directed at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just 3 months prior. Annika's tweets stirred up controversy in the Palm Beach area, with several local and national outlets covering the story. In response to the tweet, Ms. Contreras attended a commissioner meeting on November 17th to voice her disagreement with Annika's behavior. When I spoke to Ms. Contreras, she questioned whether police ever made contact with Annika for her tweet, and said that she believes the police were being used to intimidate her. It should be noted that Ms. Contreras is an organizer with the South Florida Freedom Advocates, which is a right-wing advocacy group that has attended Palm Beach commissioner meetings regularly. Ms. Contreras said that she's still deciding where to go from here, but she may pursue legal action if she is able to gather the appropriate evidence. Overall, Detective Horton and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office get a B+, because without more evidence to suggest otherwise, none of their conduct was outside the bounds of their authority. It appears as though Ms. Contreras contends that one of the commissioners directed the officers to make contact with her in retaliation for her Facebook post and continued presence at the commissioner meetings, but there are relatively reasonable explanations for some of her points. As mentioned in the episode, the Palm Beach officers would have been well within their authority to conduct an investigation into Ms. Contreras based on her posts, especially if County Administrator Baker made a formal complaint. It is likely that no police contact was made with Annika McKinley because Governor DeSantis did not file a complaint against her over her tweet, but it is very possible that County Administrator Baker did file a complaint and prompt an investigation. Regardless of whether the officers actually believed that Ms. Contreras intended to commit a crime, knocking on her door and discouraging her from doing so may have been seen as a way to peacefully and lawfully resolve the dispute, rather than an intimidation tactic. Whether or not the complainant made a formal complaint through a 911 call or another means of contact with the department is relatively inconsequential, so it likely would not matter if a commissioner contacted someone within the department directly to inform them of Ms. Contreras' Facebook posts. As discussed on many episodes of ATA, members of law enforcement can investigate tips given directly to them, especially when they are corroborated with some form of evidence. And if someone complained to an officer about the posts and the department decided to launch an investigation, then the legality of this interaction is clear. The Palm Beach officer's decision to allow a citizen to remain on the scene while contacting Ms. Contreras was no doubt unprofessional, and their refusal to issue a legitimate trespass notice to the citizen was also negligent. Although much of their conduct can be seen as legal, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's officers failed to exercise the appropriate professional discretion, and the department refused to honor Ms. Contreras' public records requests. Ms. Contreras also gets a B+, because although what she said in her Facebook post may have served as legitimate grounds for an investigation, she was well within her rights to say it, and it's easy to understand why she reacted the way she did when this encounter is viewed from her perspective. Ms. Contreras is passionate about certain political topics, and she regularly expresses dissent at the commissioner meetings. Given the fact that the sheriff's office either refuses to surrender the documents relating to this interaction, or those documents don't exist, it's not unreasonable for Ms. Contreras to deduct that no formal complaint was filed, and this encounter was the product of a government official using the police to issue an informal warning. Her suspicions are further validated by the presence of an unknown citizen outside of her home that the officers were unwilling to acknowledge or identify. Of course, the officers were not obligated to provide Ms. Contreras with that information, but it is certainly suspicious that they would allow a random person to be on the scene while they contacted her. While it could certainly be argued that this interaction was a complete waste of time and resources, none of Ms. Contreras' constitutional rights were violated, and without some new evidence to alter the dynamics of this encounter, it's likely that a court would agree. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the ATA Patreon page for more police interaction content.